Okay. Um, I want to. I hope that everybody is fine. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube, and we are live on um, YouTube, and we are live on. Yes, that's fine. So, this is Dr. Francis, and I want to welcome you to this edition of the HASMA Experience with Dr. Francis Ngulefe. The HASMA Experience is a weekly broadcast, live broadcast, where we actually bring speakers, experience, young professionals, marriage counselors, marriage educators, family life educators, therapists. Sometimes we bring in couples to just talk on how we can create and enjoy honorable and sustainable marriage relationships. So we are going to be having a good 1 hour, 30 minutes discussion, very relevant discussion, teachings, um, conversations, and talking on how we in this generation, especially the younger folks, those of us who are in our 20s, 30s, 40s, yeah, and we desire to marry. We are already married. We maybe are in relationships, dating, uh, we are engaged. Some of us may be divorced, and we are just in that space where, but what do I do? How do I find the right path? How do I know who is the right person for me? I'm in this relationship. Do I continue with it? And all of this is going to be some of the things that we'll be discussing. But to be very specific, what is the need and importance of relationship and marriage education in this generation, especially to the young people? That is going to be what we'll be talking about. And let me, did I introduce myself? Yeah, I
Yes.
live in Washington, D.C. I've been married for 12 years and counting. I have known my wife for 20 years. We've
Wow.
been active marriage relationship. And when I say marriage relationship, when I said I want to marry you, and she said yes, we've been in that relationship for 18 years and counting. We have two boys, and we live with them in the Washington, D.C. metro area. I called myself, and others called me apostle, which means I am a man of God as well. I but in this season of my life, I prefer to go with I am a family life educator. So I educate individuals and couples and families on how to live a successful family life. I think that I can pause at this time, and I have on the broadcast with us today uh, my very beloved sister. No, 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 no. Yeah, I call her young grandson. Is Mrs. Elvira Ambe from Atlanta. I've known her since 2021. Can you introduce yourself briefly? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Brother Francis, as I fondly call you. Thank you for this opportunity for us to share on this very great topic on the need and importance of relationship and marriage education. Again, I am Elvira Tassi Ambe. I am a child of God, and I have been in the marriage experience for 22 years. I have 8 biological children, 4 boys and 4 girls. I work as a neuromuscular massage therapist in the Atlanta metropolitan area in Georgia. And through that, the Lord has been using my healing hands to give safe touch to women, children, men alike, especially those that are going through achiness and stress from work, disturbances in their mental health, emotional instability, psychological, all kinds of psychological and mental health issues, to be able to give them the kind of safe touch that will help them to reprogram the way that they view life in general, especially after the kinds of experiences they may have had. And in so doing, I'm able to as well hold the hands of young women who aspire to live a happy marital life, to help them to refocus their mindset and redirect it to realizing that they are unique, and that in our own uniqueness, we are not only carved out and crafted out by God to be wives or to be of service to a man, but that we can be useful to ourselves and our neighbors and even to our communities. And I just thank God that I have this opportunity to be able to get on here and let's have this conversation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, my beloved sister Elvira.
You're welcome.
Whenever I hear about 8 biological children, I'm like in America. So she has a lot to offer to us. I have 2. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm going to hit half of what you've done, but thank you so much. Let's hear from this. There is a young man. You can see his posture on the screen. He looks very engaging. He's looking at like, okay, let me release what is in my heart. But let us hear from Mr. Ife as we call him.
Good afternoon, Dr. Francis. Thank you for this privilege.
You're welcome.
Also, I'm so elated to be here, and to my other speakers, Dr. Mrs. Evira. Yeah, hearing what you just said, I mean, I have. By the way, my name is Ifeanyi, and I'm married. This year will make my 4th year in my marriage. Then I have 2 boys, 2 under 3. So I
Oh,
I know the work there. So hearing that you have 8 and you have 4 boys and 4 girls, so kudos to you, ma. And I mean, I'm happy to be here. So yeah, thank you.
And thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much. Now you see, I one of the things most people like about me is that I speak the truth. And there is a young woman. I've never met her personally. I saw a video of her, and as a young Cameroonian, I'm like, if there is a Cameroonian young woman in the United States who is speaking this language, wherever she is, I will find her. And I started headhunting a young woman, and today we are on this stage. I will not talk so much about her, but let her to speak. I know that she is in healthcare. I know that she is married. Her name is a very nice name, Candy B. I think I need to eat some candy. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Francis. Thank you so much for having me. I am indeed honored to be on this platform to participate in the HASMA experience. My name is Candy B, and like you rightly said, yes, I am in healthcare. I started as a nurse, and now I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. And I have been married for 2 years, so I am the youngest in marriage among all of us. And Miss Evira, I'm still like, wow, I have one. I have one, and you have 8. I'm just like, okay, God, there's grace definitely for different things and different people because, wow, that's amazing to hear. Definitely looking forward to learning from you as we have this conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much, Elvira, Ifeanyi, Candy, for accepting our invitation to be here.
You're welcome.
When I come to this topic, I can talk for centuries without breathing. But the need and the importance of relationship and family, relationship and marriage education cannot be overemphasized in the age where we are living. But before I even get to some of the core issues for us to talk about, when we talk about marriage, or even the conversation that we're going to be having today, most people ask me if I am a marriage counselor. I am not a traditional marriage counselor, but anyone who talks about marriage, they think they are marriage counselors. So I think I need to bring some light and understanding on the different approaches that we use to help individuals and couples. One of it is education, which is a family life education, like what we are doing, like what I do. I educate, I teach about principles of marriage and relationships. Now, there is the other approach, which is called the coaching approach, where you help individuals and couples achieve goals through questions and all of that. And there is mentoring as well, and there is the traditional counseling. This is not the session for us to get so much into that, but let me say this: a family life education, what is it? We are on relationship and marriage education, and this is a subtopic on family life education. But family life education is just a professional practice of equipping and empowering family members so that they can develop the knowledge needed to function optimally. So in this case, the singles, young adult, dating and engaged, married, suffering, marriage, enjoying, married, thinking if I want to divorce or not, and the divorced individuals, men and women. I just want you to know that there is hope. There is marriage was never meant to be a bad thing. And it is my desire that if you are watching this broadcast, please share it to your friends. Share the link on Facebook to your friends. If you're on YouTube, share it to your friends, to your family members, to your sisters and your brothers, so they can get this knowledge and be educated. Now, from the Christian biblical perspective, there is a popular Bible verse that everybody knows. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I pray. See, if I have prayed, I have fasted, I have sat down on the same spot and prayed for 3 hours non-stop, like running my mouth for 3 hours non-stop. And I got up and I made mistakes. Why? Because there was not enough knowledge. So I just want to say this, and we are going to be having again the need and importance of relationship and marriage education across this population group: singles, married, divorced, men and women, from the Christian biblical perspective. Thank you all so much. I will let my guests go on, and then I will chime in from time to time. Let us listen to this young lady. She said she was a nurse practitioner. I'm like, wow, okay. She has a lot to offer, not just from reading stuff, but this is a professional. So, Candy, the need and importance of relationship and marriage education for the single young women, before I say I do. Talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you again so much, Dr. Francis, for having me here today. This is a topic that I truly am passionate about because I was one of those, just like many other singles, I was one of the people saying all the amen to every prayer that is declared and every prophetic declaration on marriage, year after year and year after year, waiting seriously to be married or anxiously desiring to be married. But the truth is, I had no idea what marriage is all about. I just wanted to be married at a certain age. I wanted to be married at the age of 25, but I wanted to be married for all the wrong reasons. Most of which was just the fact that when you get to a certain age, the next step is marriage, as we are all told as singles growing up, or as girls, especially growing up. I'll start with a question that the Lord had asked me a few years ago while I was still single. And seriously, in that season, praying to be married or wishing to be married and praying for it seriously and begging, send me my husband. And he asked me one question: why do you want to be married? And that's a question I want to ask every single to try to answer that question for themselves. Why do you want to be married? Funny enough, I had no answer to that question. When the Lord asked me that question, I was in shock. I had no answer. And then I came back a couple of days after doing a lot of research, biblical research on why marriage and all of that. And I had all the to raise godly seeds, to all of this great answers that seems like, oh, this is a biblically sound answer. I want to raise godly seeds, to fight 10,000 and all of these things. But I quickly realized God knew me better, because that wasn't from my heart. You know, you can't fool God. You can fool plenty of people, but you can't fool God. Because truly, my main desire for marriage was just because everybody else was getting married. My main desire for marriage was just because I am at the age that I desired, or I said I want to be married at this age. My main desire for marriage was surrounded with everybody having relationships. And here I am, attending weddings, nothing. So for all the wrong reasons, I desire to be married. And it was then that I decided to just surrender. And thank God for his mercy. He began to teach me about marriage. And through that, I got to a point where I was so satisfied in my single season, because I got to understand what marriage is. And I got to understand that singleness is a season. There are a lot of single people, my single sisters, who want to be married so bad, but they don't even understand, just like me back then, what is this thing called marriage? So it makes it so important for us to actually truly understand marriage. It's so important that we understand. Some people want to be married, but the truth is they don't even know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, you get into marriage, you're going to lose yourself. And that's where some of the problems begin to come in. Dr. Francis, you had earlier mentioned one of the popular scriptures when it comes to ignorance. And the truth is, when you're ignorant about something, you're just going to waste it. I really strongly believe that the reasons why divorce rates are higher and there's so much unhappiness in marriage is because we jump into it for all the wrong reasons. We are not educated about what this thing really is. As a girl, especially from Africa, from Cameroon, we are almost groomed to become wives. We are not taught to become wives. And there's a difference between being taught and being groomed. I went to school to become a nurse. I was taught and trained on what it takes to be a good nurse. I even went through the practical of it to learn how to do certain skills as a nurse. But when it comes to us, when it comes to the area of marriage, as singles or as young girls growing up, basically all that you know about marriage or what to do in marriage is be good at house chores, be good at cooking, be good with cleaning, because these are the things that are going to make your husband happy. But that's not what marriage is all about. Marriage is deeper than that. Marriage is a covenant. When we understand that it's a covenant, we are even more careful to get into it, especially with the wrong person, because God forbid I break this covenant. Covenant is so important. Like up to today, to tell you how important a covenant is, up to today, we are living under the covenant God made with Noah, God made with Abraham. The covenant he made with Noah and said he will never flood the earth again. And we see the rainbow every day as a sign to that covenant. So regardless of how the world gets bad, he still keeps his covenant. That's how important a covenant is. But unfortunately, we don't understand these things. We just get into relationships because everybody's getting into relationships. I remember my first relationship was just because of peer pressure of everybody around me is doing it. So why not? It's almost become a natural thing for us. But there is so much more to marriage than just two people coming together. There's so much more to marriage than just two families coming together. The lack of education and understanding is truly why so many broken people have come out of homes. We're in America, we hear about gun violence every day, shooting in school. I was reading a story this morning of a 12-year-old boy who committed suicide. Why? Because of bullying from a classmate in school. This child is 12. I was taking care of a patient the other day, and she told me also of her niece, who at the age of 12, I don't even know what coincidence this can be. It's not a coincidence. At the age of 12, committed suicide because of a problem and the bullying she suffered with her best friend. She lost her life at the age of 12. Now imagine if these bullies or these people came from homes that were not necessarily broken homes, but had present parents who were instilling in them godly values, teaching them about love, teaching them about these things, just instilling in them the godly values that we live by. Would this be a thing that is happening? The family in itself is like the foundation of society. Every person comes from a family. So imagine if we have stronger families, if we have families built on God, and for us to have families that is built on God and rooted in God with godly values, we need to have marriages built on God. We need to have strong marriages. And to have strong marriages, we need to understand and be educated. What is this even all about? And it doesn't start from when you get married. It starts from when you're single. From when you're single, that's the best time to start educating yourself. There's so many problems we have in the world today. Yes, it's not going to be over anytime soon, or even if every believer starts having the foundation and their family becomes so great, or marriages become even better, what's going to happen is there's going to be a decrease in divorce. A lot less people are going to be broken. And we'll make society better. We may not make it best, because we know till Jesus comes, things are only going to get worse. But we will make it better. We'll produce better people because we have stronger homes and stronger marriages. The truth is, like I said before, there is so much to a marriage than just two people coming together. And I think this is one of the most important reasons why it's important that we educate ourselves on what marriage is all about. We need to understand that marriage is a covenant. It's not just a commitment. It's not just two people coming to stay together. It is a covenanted relationship. In scripture, several times we see that marriage it's almost as it's kind of like a figurative statement referring to Jesus Christ as the bridegroom and the church, his bride. So many times God used marriage to describe his relationship with us, his children. That's to tell you how important it is. That's to tell you how important marriage is. So we need to really get back to understand, why did God create this thing in the first place? Why did God make marriage? Why was it so important that even from the beginning, he said, this is what all families are going to come from? When we begin to understand these things, we're going to have better homes. We're going to have better people. We're going to raise better people who are mentally strong. As a mental health professional, I come across a lot of people who are broken not because of anything, but broken because of the childhood that they had, broken because of the kind of homes that they come from. There are some people that have decided not to get married, not because of anything else, but just because of what they have seen, the examples they have seen, or what they saw in their homes, or what they saw from their neighbors, or what they just saw growing up, or how they see people jump in and out every day. Culture has made marriage to be something that you can come into there, and if it's not working, you go out. But when you understand this covenant, you truly know what you're getting into. It's not like if it gets difficult, I'll get out. Because here's the thing, it's not to make you happy. Marriage refines you in the closest, in fact, it is the closest thing to our relationship with God. Just as we are with the father in relationship. That's how a man is supposed to be with his wife. Being refined by each other, allowing God to refine the two of you. When there's trouble, is not to run, is to allow that trouble to refine you and kill something in you. Marriage is supposed to be an evidence that people outside, people that do not know God, should see our marriages and say, there is something about this home, because it should reflect Christ. It should reflect who God is. It should reflect the nature of God. But here is the thing, we don't always understand it. There are a lot of singles that do not understand it. I was one of them, until the Lord began to teach me about what marriage is. Actually, did you know in the book of Matthew, Jesus was teaching his disciples about marriage when they asked a question about divorce? When Jesus actually taught his disciples of marriage, do you know their response? Their response was, if this is the case, better not to marry. That was their response. If this is the case, it's better not to marry. Paul himself said it. Don't marry. He himself, he was happy that he wasn't married, because there is so much that comes to marriage. There's so much, not just distractions, but there's so many things. Marriage is a refiner's fire to the closest form, if you allow it. But then it's also the sweetest and most beautiful thing that you can ever experience. But we have to understand these things. And as singles, it's so important that in this stage where you are as a single person, you maximize your single season, not just thinking about marriage, but also preparing yourself to be married. In also preparing yourself, it starts by knowing who you are. Who are you? Who are you? You want to be married, but who are you? There's so many people, they are lost in motherhood, lost in being a wife. They don't even know themselves anymore, but that's because they did not even know themselves before they got into marriage. You are a person before you're a wife. You're a person before you're a mother. You're a person before anything else. I always say that whenever anybody, I didn't say it today, but I always introduce myself like who I am first before the roles that I play. Because I only play the role of a mother. I only play the role of a wife. I play the role as a healthcare professional. But outside of the roles that I play, I am somebody. But then when we do not understand who we are, we get lost in these roles. And this is why when your child or something happens to them, or say you grow up to leave, you don't know how to detach yourself from them, because you never knew. You don't even know who you are outside of being a mom or outside of being a wife. But these are things that you learn before marriage. Like I said, I'm so passionate about this topic. I can go on and on and on. But I'm going to stop here. I think I've probably overemphasized the need for education when it comes to getting into relationship and marriage. Over to you.
Wow. You see, I am going to come to my notes and make a statement. Candy, when you're talking, I'm listening to you, I'm taking notes. I am in school. One of the myths that people have about, or the misconceptions that people have about marriage counseling, marriage education is, oh, but who can we really find who we can trust? And we don't have somebody who can really help us. Hello, if you are my audience today, wherever you run into this message, there is a woman. She lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can find her on Instagram. Her name is Candy B. She is so passionate about what she's talking about. And you can see from her words. Now, Candy, I'll get back to you at some point, but I just bring some thoughts on the cost of a wedding, especially in the United States, and the cost of preparing for marriage. Like, how much do people invest in weddings, and how much do people invest in preparing themselves for marriage? Now I can see what I just said on Ife's notes. Okay. But thank you so much.
Mhm.
Please continue to share the links on YouTube, on Facebook. You can push them on other platforms so that people can watch this broadcast and rewatch again. At this time, when I call his full name, Ifeanyi, I'm like, Ife, IFE is Nigerian. Okay. And then ANYI is a Bangwa Cameroonian name. So I have people in my family that are ANYI, but IFE is purely Nigerian. So this young professional seem passionate about family life education, seem to be Cameroonian, no, Nigerian Cameroonian, I'm not sure. But let's have Mr. Ife, please, the need and importance of relationship and marriage education to the young people in this age. Before they bend down and pretend to give, say, I love you, they are shaking as if, what? What should they know? Yeah, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, doctor. And it was as if my sister Candy. I mean, she was living with us before. I mean, we live in Maryland before,
Oh,
so uh,
where
uh
God resides, huh?
so what she just shared, it was as if she just made a smooth pathway for me, because I remember early 2017, 2018. I was planning to get married, but I was futuristic about it. Not that I was planning 1 year or 2 years for marriage. I was planning ahead. Then one of the questions that came from my spirit was that, why do I want to get married? Because Miles Moreau, the late Dr. Miles Moreau said, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So
Mm,
yes, is if you don't know the purpose of money, you abuse it. If you don't know the purpose of a spouse, you abuse him or her. If you don't know the purpose of a thing, anything in fact, abuse is inevitable.
Yeah.
mm,
So I was just asking myself, why do I want to get married? Why do I want? Because I don't like pressure. I like doing my thing. So I still have the notes up to today because I don't like trashing anything. My laptop, I have notepad is full. My notes are full. So one of the reasons that I wrote down, after doing some research from my spirit, is that I want to get married so that we can fulfill. I want someone that that God has provided, that is yet to provide, that we can fulfill God's assignment for my life together. Someone that is compatible with God's assignment for my life. And I
Mhm.
remember part of my prayer then was that I don't want who I want. I want who you want for me.
Mm.
Because what I want, it might be, it's not, it might be, it will be wrong. But God, the good father, he has his my best interest in his heart. Then afterwards, getting towards I think in the middle of pandemic and 2021, I started doing more. Why do I want to get married? What is the purpose of marriage? And I think that's what many of us lack, like what our sister said, that education. And she said something. She said that she was trained to be a nurse and she was groomed to be a nurse. She was trained a nurse and she was groomed to be a nurse. And you see that in this country, before you can get even a license, driver license, you have to, after submitting your documents, of course, you have to be of a certain age. After that certain age, you have to submit some documents. After that, you have to take the knowledge test. So no matter how brilliant you are, no matter how your acumen is, you have to pass that knowledge test. If you don't pass it, you have to go after 1 week, and that following week, if you fail it, you have to apply maybe 2 weeks later. If you fail the 2 weeks later, the time keeps increasing. Why? To give you adequate preparation.
mhm,
I know someone that have done it about 6 times. So they'll keep increasing it, even to like 3 months. You can't schedule any exam until after 3 months. And after that 3 months, if you fail, they will keep increasing it. But if you see in our society today, you know, we don't have any form of training. People don't even have training. People are only concerned about that wedding.
Mm.
about that wedding. So because of I knew about this and I stood, then I actually took off from work. I don't go to work on Tuesdays. So I use that to read and I don't step out of the house. I stay alone, I read, I fast and pray, asking, trying to plan and prepare for this season of my life. So we have to get that knowledge. We have to know what we are getting into. And I like what David told Solomon when David was going to die. I think First Kings chapter 2 verse 2. Let me quickly find that. It says, I'm going the way of all the earth. Be strong, therefore, and prove yourself a man. So any man watching me, before considering entering any relationship, even marital relationship, you have to be a man. You have to be a man, not a man from a standpoint of the society. What society have said, okay, a man must be this, a man, if you're not smoking, if you're not going to club, you're not a man. If you're not cheating, you're not a man. No, that's not true. You have to be a man. And I remember after doing all this, after going through all this stuff, then I called my dad. Then my dad is in Nigeria. Then I called my dad. I said, sir, I'm about to get married. So he was like, who is rushing? What is pushing me? I was like, then he said I should wait for my elder brother to get married. And I'm like, I'm not calling you to give me to tell me yes or no. I'm calling to inform you. I can get married without you knowing. So I'm not calling for you to give me approval. I don't need approval. I'm telling you to know. So that came from a point of conviction, a point of responsibility, because part of what makes you a man is the ability to take and own to own responsibilities and their to make choices and to face the consequences. So I told him, I said, I'm not calling to get approval from you. And me and my dad and I, we have a good relationship. So when I said that, he was shocked. He was shocked and he didn't say, he was just speechless. So then everything just went. But if I didn't have that mindset of responsibility and making my own choice, I'll still be unmarried up to today, and it will delay some things. It will delay some things because there's something that comes seasonal in season. If you miss that season, you have to wait for another season, and each season might take 5 years or 7 years. Yes, so you have to be a man. You have to be a man before you become a father. You have to be a man before you become a husband. Manhood is the foundation upon which all other roles are built. And what my sister said, she said that whenever she's introducing herself, she just take away that roles. Then she will introduce herself not as a wife, not as a mother. She will introduce herself first before introducing herself as wife or mother. That's very, very important. And I could relate with some of the things that she said. She said that there are some people that are lost, they are lost in motherhood. They don't know themselves. And I've met someone, a young girl, she broke up. No, someone actually broke up with her. Then she was just crying. Then I was just laughing because I knew what the problem was. Then I allowed her to, say everything. Then I could see that she has lost herself. I said, number one, you have to separate yourself from everything and everyone and find yourself. Because if you enter any marital relationship with this mindset, with this season that you are, it will be very disastrous. It will be very bad. But since then, I've not had anything from her. So hopefully, she hit to my advice. We had a long conversation. So the first thing as a man before entering a relationship, you have to be a man. You have to be a man. Again, like I said, manhood is the foundation upon which all roles are built. Becoming a father, becoming a husband is still anchored on being a man. And one of the danger of distorted manhood is that a man who does not grab his words will see validation in power and possession. If you don't know who you are as a man, if you're not becoming a man, it will affect how you treat your children. It will affect how you treat your wife. And a man who does not know who does not embrace his identity will struggle to lead his family. If you don't know your manhood, if you don't know your masculinity, if you don't have the original idea of who a man should be, not in a traditional standpoint, not in a society, this is how they do it. No, how did God create a man to be? So you have to have this idea. You have to know who you are before assuming these roles of being a husband and being a father. Because if you don't embrace, or if you don't know even this identity, it will affect how you lead your family. And also, a man who does not know his purpose, will be easily swayed by cultural trends and societal pressures. So you have to be a man before becoming a father. You have to be a man before becoming a husband, because if your idea of manhood is not correct, it will affect how you lead, how you love your wife, how you raise up your children. And another example that I would like to talk about, I've seen it happen even in our church, the idea of submission. When I was studying about submission, with the Holy Spirit and with my Bible, I was just like, it was just, I mean, it changed how I relate with my wife. It later how I in my house, in my home, I'm the one that cook the food. And so you see some people saying to my wife, "Oh, won't you see that you are not useful?" And my wife will be having some kind of this traditional. Oh, am I being useful? And I told her, it is not your role that makes you useful to me. Yes, there's a place for that. There's a place for that, but no, but cooking in the house doesn't make you either useful or useless to me. I love to cook and I know how to cook. So leave that. You don't like to, you know how to cook, but you don't like it. Me, I like it. So that's the idea of this submission that we have, that in our society today, that a woman must do this, a woman must bow. No. What Holy Spirit was teaching me during those periods was that there are two kinds of submission. There's a submission to authority which God gave to the man. It cannot change. And there's a submission based on roles, who can perform who can perform something better. Now, in my family, because I love to do this thing, I don't allow her to do it. So whenever I want to do anything in that area, she doesn't even I mean, she doesn't even argue with me in that area, because this is my area. Whenever it comes to educating children, school and all those stuff, I don't argue with her. I submit everything to her. So that is the idea of submission. But in our world today, everything, even when the man doesn't know anything about finances, the society will still tell you, even church will still tell you, a woman should submit everything to the husband. No, that's not correct, because the man doesn't even know how to manage the family finance more than the woman. So the man should submit everything that has to do with the family resources to the woman, who knows how to manage the family finance better. So again, before you enter into marital relationship, you have to be a man. You have to know what manhood is, because if that idea of masculinity is distorted, it will affect every area. Yeah, I would like to stop there so I don't take much time.
Uh, um, Mr. Ifani,
Yes, sir.
you see, one of the challenges that young people in this age are facing is speaking the truth. Now, in your house, you are the one who cook. So many people are already on this the reaction that they are already creating now. I can get it. It comes from the African perspective. Brother, keep up. In my house, I am the one who do the dishes. Not because my wife cannot do the dishes. We have trained our 7-year-old who is about to be 8 in April. He does his dishes. He does the dishes in the house. But I will stay up to 2 a.m. cleaning dishes. Then this perspective of you have to be the man, not from, when I was in, is it late high school? It's amazing how those thoughts were being discussed back then. If you do not smoke, if you don't have a girlfriend, and if you don't drink alcohol, these three things. If you do not smoke, if you're not a smoker, if you do not have girlfriends, and if you don't drink alcohol, you are not a man. It was constantly discussed in circles where we used to grow up with these men. They will meet in afternoons or in the evenings in clubs, and then that is what they are discussing. So they will give you maybe say, like in Cameroon, that what used to be very, very popular, Guinness, export, and all of those things. I say, no, sorry, I don't drink alcohol. They say, in Pidgin, now which kind of man you they? But that is not what defines a man. Thank you so much. If you do not know yourself as a man from the perspective of God, you will mess up in so many things. Now, when you were talking, something came to my mind. I want to ask that question. Maybe you don't have to respond it now. We'll come back after Elvira. Can you give us 3 practical steps you took to choose your wife? And how, if you did not do that, where will you be today? So 3 practical things. This is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do. These 3 things help me to have the wife I have now, and I'm happy with her. And if I didn't do that, I don't think that I would be in these 4 years happy at this point. We'll come back for you to talk to that about to us about that. Now, please, this woman is so passionate about having women women knowing who they are in marriage. I am not going to take her stage. Every time I talk with her, I tell her, but why have you not written the book? Why have you not had this stage that you are on? Why are you not already speaking to these women? Because when I hear women around talk, I'm like, where are these ones from? Sorry, I'm not trying to demean anyone. I'm just saying that, hey, Candy, I cannot do your job. You are a nurse. I wish maybe I could be a nurse, but I am not a nurse. I cannot do the job of a nurse, and I will not pretend to be a nurse. So, Sister Elvira,
Yes.
young grandsir, let us make this
Yes.
life now. Young
Brother Francis.
grandsir. I
Thank
remember
you so much.
we met at the funeral, and that is how in Atlanta, and I came to sit on the same table where she was sitting, and then you're meeting somebody for the first time. You don't know this person. She's a woman. I am a man, and then I'm like, okay, should I even talk to her? And so I greeted her, and then we started talking. From that day, we are here, Sister Elvira. The
Yes, Brother
need
Francis.
and importance of relationship and marriage education to your fellow women. They think that, most of us, we think that when we are already married, Candy, thank you so much, and Ife, you need to renew your license in 2 years, without which it will be, you cannot practice. And in order for you to renew that license, this is a nurse practitioner. She's been to school 4 years undergraduate at least, and 2 years graduate at least, and then preparatory exams. Then she is not doing, she's not driving a truck. She is practicing nursing every day, at least. And then they tell her that even that knowledge, 2 years after, you still have to show all that you have taken classes. Come on, man. in order for you to keep it. And she could get up and quit, as Candy told us, but you are in marriage and it's supposed to be for a lifetime. No one seminar you never attend. Talk to us, Sister Evira.
Thank you so much, Candy. Thank you, Ife. Thank you, Francis, for all your contributions. I listened to all of you, and you said some very relevant things, each and every one of you, especially hitting on the prior to getting married. Now, I want to take us to the taste of the pudding is in the eating. You know, once upon a time, every woman was a young girl dreaming to get married to her Prince Charming, the most handsome boy in her community. Given the way we were raised from our cultural backgrounds, you know, be it Christian, be it good home settings, we aspire to be married to the one that doesn't drink. We aspire to be married to who has a stable job. We aspire to be married to who seems to have a cool head. He's not in the club every day. Who seems probably not to have a lot of baggage in his background before coming for marriage. And so here we are talking about the need and the importance of relationship and marriage education. So that sounds to me more like preparing yourself before you get into the institution. And like Candy had already said earlier, it is a covenant relationship. It's not meant to be broken. So for what reasons do we get into marriage? Now, I will be gearing my, part of my own sharing mostly to the women, but then it also goes to the men. We all know that from a cultural standpoint, our women are groomed and gradually prepared the moment they start learning how to put on their undies and wearing their slippers to become wives to their husbands in the future. I do not remember very well. Somebody needs to draw my attention if they know and if they remember, where the young boys as well were groomed and trained to be the good husbands to those girls that are being prepared for them.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably a topic for another day. Preparedness, who is ready, who is not. But it's good that we throw that in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go a little bit further and a little deeper, knowing that this is a covenant relationship, to remembering that in Genesis 1:18, after God had created everything and said, let there be, then let us make man in our own image, making them male and female. Then in 18, he said, it is not good. That was the first time that God said it is not good. For what now? For a man to be alone. And so he decided to make him a helpmate. And he said a helpmate. And I would like us to pay attention to the word help. And then he said mate, suitable for him. So that brings me to thinking that it is not enough that I should prepare a nice hairdo, prepare very well for the marital ceremony, and not prepare myself to be the suitable helpmate to my Prince Charming. And so therefore, the responsibility was given to Ife to dissect and explain to us what it means for the man to be prepared. So the question is, does he have a vision? What is his goals in life? Where is he going to? So that if I am going to offer help, what am I helping him with? Then you come to realize that if we go by what Candy had already told us from the beginning, where we all, and Candy, you're not alone, let us keep it real. A lot of African women, a lot of women in our environment, our communities that we are fond of, we marry for the wrong reasons. Not intentionally getting married for wrong reasons, but the reasons that were best known to us and to those that raised us. It was enough to know that before you're 30, get married so that you can have children within a certain early age gap, raise them, have enough time to be their grandma to their children before you start aging. And my heart goes out to our moms and grandmoms that were grooming us. But little did they know that the time was coming when Preparing us to be married within that age group and all of that wasn't enough. But the question is, when we are now married, how do we sustain that relationship now, the HASMA experience, and have an honorable relationship that is pleasing to the eyes of the Lord? That is where it becomes real. And I'll be honest to you, I've had the marriage experience for 22 years. I got married when I was 25. The struggle is real. Now there is a group of people that we don't talk a lot about. A lot of times when you listen to different podcasts or different experiences like this, we sound really nice. We make it really sound good. We quote scripture. We look beautiful on the screen. People are looking at us and they're like, oh wow, she got her life together. Everything is going on well. Look at Candy's hairdo. She's enjoying her marriage. She's a nurse practitioner. She surely has a heavy bank account. The reality now is, beneath every roof, there are some realities that we do not tell the public. The struggle is real. And that is why through this platform, I want to add my voice to say that there is a very huge need for the women and the men to be adequately prepared prior to marriage. Now, when we are already married and we already know that we got in with those preconceived notions that it was just enough to pick the right looking gentleman, the gentleman that was having a stable job, a girl that came from a good household where probably she can cook, clean, and have children. And then when finally we have all of that covered and the wedding ceremony is over, then what happens in the marriage? And that is where I'm coming in. When we are now married, or as we prepare to marry, how much knowledge of this gentleman as a woman do you know? How much about how does he react when he is angry? Do you know? He looks handsome. Every young man today can put on the best suit and the best pair of shoes, add a tie to it, give him a great haircut, fade it a little bit, he would look spiffy. But what does he look like when he's angry? What does he say to you when he is pissed? That's now when we get real. What is his attitude towards finances? How does he manage his finances? Or is it enough to say that because I am a helpmate, I should become the financial manager to your own finances? Yes, when we become one, we can group our finances together, however way that every couple will choose to do it, whether they will have a joint account and then two separate accounts where each person owns one and they can control it, and then they can be accountable to each other. But what is your partner's attitude towards money? Both ways. What is their spending behavior? Do you work with a budget? You've been married 22 years. Have you ever worked with a budget? Or do you just go with the children need food, they need clothes, they need shoes, they need to go to school, so we're just spending off of those needs coming in? Or are we actually budgeting? How detailing are we budgeting? So that when an argument comes as to, do I need to really buy this hair or this pair of shoe, or do I have to pay for so and so? Are we going back and forth because we're working with that budget? Or are we now starting to argue because every individual, between you and myself, we have our different ways that we are handling money? Questions that we need to ask before we get married that we did not ask. Is their family a family that has mental health issues? If you want to look at it from an African perspective, is there madness running in the family? Is there theft running in the family? Like, did you actually find out, or did you just get emotional and because he looked handsome, she looked pretty, you just went ahead with the wedding? So are there underlying diseases that you need to know about in your family bloodline? Are there some patterns that we need closely at that we have ignored? Okay, so now these little comments I'm making are probably shedding a little bit of light and helping Candy in where she is presenting. I may be stepping, but this is a conversation. But then now come to my shoes where now I'm already married. So what have you discovered that you did not know about? And when we get to discover some of these things that we did not know about in the past, either out of lack of knowledge or that we ignored red flags, what do you do? And that is where people like Brother Francis becomes our friend. That is where you need to go to someone that is an expert that will teach you to rewire your thinking prior to marriage, but then here you are already married. And face every challenge as it is and find out what are the solutions. So you're getting married to a man, you're ready as a woman. You're going to clean, you're going to cook, you're going to have, and then you're going to have babies. And you're going to receive his friends and family well. You are very good at interior decoration. Pretty much the aesthetics of the marriage is ready. So who is he listening to? Who is that authority in the life of the man that you can call when he is acting out of character? It's not enough to say that your partner fears the Lord. That's a general concept. Anybody can come and profess Christ. Honestly, you can tell me you've been born again for 28 years. I will believe that because you will probably be going to church. But practically, when we are having marital struggles, who have we agreed that we can call to call you to order, and vice versa? Or are you one that will be called when other people are having problems, so you don't have anybody you're answerable to? That's a danger zone right there. How does your lack of preparedness affect the children that the Lord has blessed you with? I heard Candy say something like, I want to raise godly seed. Candy, if you are married to someone and they are dysfunctional behaviorally, for example, and you had no clue, how do you raise godly seed in an environment like that? Due to lack of education, we have a very big slogan in our African context, which mothers will tell their daughters, aunties will tell their daughters, mamas in church will tell their daughters, Mama, married na tie hard. Even me, sister, na so I be tie hard. Tawa be with your papa. Not think say because I don't be here, I raise you. It not mean say me too. I never go through things. You go only remain for there because na roof it cover all house. But how practical, therefore, is this in relation to me wanting as a godly woman to raise godly seed? Now, this brings me to the aspect of the children. We treat children in our African context as though they were stooges, as though they were artifacts. We forget that they have flesh, blood, they have a mind of their own, they have emotions, they can see, and they can actually discern because God created them like He created you and myself. In actual fact, our children are our brothers and sisters in the Lord. So when you're raising these children in a dysfunctional setting because you lacked proper education prior to getting into the marriage experience, and so you are acting out of character, your partner is acting out of character, and there is no person that you can both run to be accountable to, you are not going to succeed to raise godly seed. And I'm not throwing this at you, Candy. This is food for thought. This is my own part of the contribution for this conversation. You are not going to. And I can bet you, I stand corrected, a little over 70%. This is from my intuition from talking to other women, from even experience of the marriages that are going on right now in our communities are under this particular category where you are in there, you are pretty much stuck because it will give Candy a headache to know that Elvira is considering that I can't handle this, so it's possible that I'm gonna have to go separate ways. It's possible that if I tell Brother Francis that I'm going through struggles, he's gonna judge me or give me a bombastic side eye. I'm very sure that if I tell Ife what's going on here, Ife is gonna look at me somehow. 3/4 of our marriages are under that category. Very few people are having happy relationships. And one of the reasons why people are not in happy relationships is because people were underprepared for the marriage experience. Some people are recalcitrant and do not want to take correction and do not want to accept counseling and accept to be accountable either to their partners or to higher authority. And by higher authority, I am meaning in particular those that God has put in your path to perform that role of higher authority. They are not subject to them. They don't want to listen. They don't want to accept defeat. They want to just have this illusion that they are in a relationship and that everything is moving on fine, but then it is not. And you've heard, I'm sure anybody that has studied history, you've heard about a Cold War, right? And so you wonder why the men that are between the ages of 40 and 50 now, most of them, their marriages are unstable. The reason is because when they were in their elementary, nursery, and college ages, they lived and experienced dysfunctional settings. And again, disclaimer, this is not in everybody's case. I'm just talking about what is going on, the real stuff, because I'm going to be that one person who wants to keep it real. I would dislike to come here looking pretty and tell you things that will make you feel good and then keep some of the things that are the real stuff that nobody talks about. But that are actually the things that are going on, and those are the things that are making our community to be that decadent to where people are resentful. Some of the reasons why children commit suicide, children are into drugs, young girls are having more than one sexual partner at an early age is because they're seeking for love. They're seeking for a validation. They're seeking for attention, either from a father that is physically present, but emotionally completely dissociated and absent. So I don't know if I've just been talking, I've not been looking at time because I believe that this is a conversation and the only way I can enjoy it is to really make it conversational. I don't know that I have touched everything that I intended to say, but not to say that prayer doesn't work magic or that it doesn't work, but what are the ways? Because even when you pray, you have to pray with context. What are you praying about? So if you're in a dysfunctional relationship, tell me, Candy, what are you praying about? Like seriously, how functional can you even be when you're in a dysfunctional environment? Looking at it from a mental health perspective, you can't even fulfill all righteousness because you're in a dysfunctional setting. You cannot be productive. The children cannot be productive.
I don't mean to cut you short, but
Okay. Maybe if you ask questions, we'll head somewhere.
Sister Elvira,
Yeah.
you see, Ife and Candy, relatively young in marriage. I am one of the very first people will show up my hand to say that experience is not the best teacher. I will shout. Experience is the best teacher. Experience is the best teacher. Experience is not the best teacher. I am talking, there is a man now alive. I don't want to call the nation that he's from. In my book, I reference him. He knows that women are devils. Now, I'm saying this to come in with something. Sister Elvira is keeping it very real. There was a night in 2022 November. We had a meeting. It was my wife and I and a few other people involved in the meeting. And I got upset. Really, really, really upset. And we're supposed to be driving for about an hour and 10 minutes back home. It's 1:30 a.m. My two sons are in the car with me and my wife. I am on the steering wheel. Wherever I'm on the steering wheel, my wife does not drive. I am very, very upset. What do you think will happen to my wife and my two children? That night, my wife called at 1:30. She picked her phone, called a man in the state of Delaware. He is our spiritual father. I did not know. The only time I realized that somebody had made a call was when I got to where we were going to, my spiritual father called me. I had no clue any communication was going on. I was driving and I was very upset. I was going at 100 miles per hour on the street of Atlanta. It was not safe. Sister Elvira, who is the authority over him or over her? I'm saying this to say this statement that you made touched my heart. And I realized that my family would have been crushed if my wife did not call my spiritual father. My spiritual father called me and said, why is it that? And when my spiritual father calls, so if you are driving, you better park before you listen to what he's talking. He's not going to scream, but just his word, the power that will come from behind it. Thank you so much for that. We are going to be having this every weekend, okay? So you are in a very good place. Keep building that up. But because we want to keep this under 2 hours, under 90 minutes, let me say a few things and we'll get back to you. Candy and Ife, you have some few thoughts to drop in based on the question that I had asked. But please, I have someone who told me that, Francis, now only roof the cover house here. I am a man of God. I had seen a revelation about her and her husband. And I called her, I was telling her, and this was not about marriage. This was about green card. And I had a revelation about her and her husband about documents in the United States. And I was trying to relate it to her. And then she veered the conversation to marriage issues and then not only rule the cover house, I said for my own. So she's trying to use her experience to talk about how marriages are. Please, it is not everyone who is suffering in marriage. It's not everyone. It's not everyone. Papa David Oyedepo, I usually like to call him like that. I may not agree in everything which preachers speak, but I studied the life of people. This pastor said he read, is it 41 what? Is it books or biographies or whatever it is, before he got into marriage. And before he stepped in, he was stepping in for what he calls a hitch-free marriage. And when he speaks, he says, now for 41 years, I have been in it, I enjoy it, and it is good. You should not wait until you are suffering before you go and start learning. You can prevent these things. I say divorce is preventable. Fighting in marriage is preventable. How? Just prepare in advance. My younger sister, my third follower, was getting married. In the heat of COVID, she was a member of my church. She was living in my house in Atlanta, 2020. And she has a braiding shop in Atlanta. There was this young girl who used to braid with them. And I walked into the shop one day And this young lady excitedly, oh, pastor, wow, now how they prepare for marriage? No, the wedding. Now, how they prepare for the wedding? How are you preparing for the wedding? I said, sorry, I am not a wedding planner. I prepare individuals and couples for honorable marriages, and I leave the job of wedding to wedding planners. Candy, I'm coming back to you. You see where I'm already. I am a serial writer. This is one of my books. Valuable decorations for your marriage. 21 powerful questions and relevant solutions that will make your marriage relationship delightful, harmonious, and sustainable. This is the copy for married individuals only. Now, it will be in Amazon by the end of this month. This is the author's copy. I discussed 21 concepts in this book, but in another book, I made a bold statement. I was discussing about the cost of a wedding in the United States. And I did research, and I was like, wow, okay. I know someone. They are that couple is in the United States. One of them said, I met a couple who said, I wish I knew better. I wouldn't have spent this much at my wedding. And another person said, I have over $30,000 debt on credit cards. It was towards our wedding. Candy, in 3 minutes, you are a nurse practitioner. I think that you probably had a lot of money as a nurse, working and saving much money to do a wedding, and you have to be real.
Oh, God.
How much money did you spend to do premarital education, and how much money did you spend for your wedding ring, which I've not even seen? But cost of marriage preparation and cost of weddings in the United States, in Nigeria, around the world. Please, young lady, I honor your expertise. I honor your passion to help young people get it right.
Yeah.
I will headhunt you till this is done. Talk to them. You are on the mic. Talk to them. Let them know what this is.
It's such a funny question because that's something that I had to learn for myself even before getting married, or necessarily prepare for as well before getting married. Because here's the thing, I like nice things. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like nice things, but thank God that at least before I got married, I began to learn about finances, because that's another aspect of things that we are so uneducated about as Africans in the diaspora. We are so uneducated about managing finances. And our sister mentioned about budgeting. I'm not going to lie, it's only a few years ago that I started budgeting. And actually, I'm still learning the process of budgeting and investing, because these are things that are very important. But we are not taught these things, especially as Africans in the diaspora. So that's another area that there's a need for education in itself. So even before, a friend of mine, one of my friends knows this, I think God relates to each of us the way he knows who we are, right? And for me, I was privileged enough, not that I have a lot of money or something. No, I was just getting by. But here is the thing. The Lord knows me and he knows my heart. He knows that, okay, this is something that I would want. Before I even met my husband, one of the things that the Lord began to tell me was to start saving for the kind of wedding that I desire. So in my preparation for marriage, financially, I was also preparing for a wedding. Those are two different things. So I did not just invest in preparing for marriage, I also invested in preparing for the wedding day. I think today the average cost of wedding planning in America is about $30,000. That's the average cost. And that's a lot of money. But the truth about it is when it comes to actually preparing, a lot of people, or a lot of us will prepare for the wedding or will fail to prepare for the marriage. Because marriage in itself, that's the main thing. The wedding is one day, one night. You can wear 10 dresses on your wedding day. 1 month later, you're divorced. All that money spent for nothing. It's important that we don't always spend money or in preparation for the wedding, but also for the marriage. Buy books. Like I lead a group of women, disciple her, and I always tell them, as a single, invest in yourself in this season. Read books, buy books. It's not too expensive. It's not too costly. It's not going to cost you as much as the wedding is. Even if you're planning to have a wedding, it's going to cost you. Regardless, even if you say you want to have a small wedding of 10 people, trust me, you'll be seeing that you're spending at least $10,000, at least. But guess what? It's not going to cost you up to that amount to prepare for marriage. Invest in books, invest in education, invest in courses, invest in attending seminars. Like, excuse me, our people, we like free things. We like free things. I was talking to one of my girls yesterday, and we're talking about this same topics when it comes to investing in knowledge and how we like free things. When you tell somebody to pay for a course or to pay for a classes to learn about marriage, and even if you put it at, say something as, just put it as cheap as $100, people will still complain. Our African people will complain. But when it comes to the wedding, that's not even going to be the cost of maybe a shoe that they'll buy for that wedding. Some people go all the way. It's not even going to reach. And then when you get into the marriage, as our sister Evira said, where all the headaches and everything, that $100 would have saved you a lot of headache. People wait until they're in the marriage to now start investing in counseling to fix the marriage. Meanwhile, when you were single, you could have invested in learning. And that's this. Not to say, I always say this is not to say just because you prepare for marriage does not mean that it's not going to be challenging.
True, correct.
And the beauty of marriage is also the challenge of it. In the beauty of it is also the challenge of it. But here is the thing. What I always say is, I learned the theory before marriage while I was single. In marriage, I am now putting the theory to practice. If I did not have the theory, things will not go the way they are going. At least invest in getting the theoretical knowledge. Invest in knowing certain things. Invest, like our sister was saying, one of the most important, like one of the things that I really grabbed from her that has also helped us in our marriage is having an authority figure over. As a matter of fact, my husband began to report me to our authority figure, even while we were planning the wedding, before we even got inside. One of my mentors called me and said, Kenzie, what are you doing? What's going on here? And even now, there are times when I just see a call, I may not even know, just like Dr. Francis was saying. But then when you have people that can call you to order, or call your husband, or call you yourself to order, it changes things. It changes a lot of things. But going back to paying for things, please, 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 as a single, pay for it. Pay for the knowledge, because you value what you pay for more than what you get for free. You put value on what you pay for more than what you get for free. Pay for the knowledge. Pay for the knowledge. I cannot overemphasize this. In fact, sometimes run away from the free knowledge and go for the ones that you're investing, so that way, the fact that you're spending money to invest in it, you'll be like, I need to put my head in this thing that I'm learning. Just when you think about the money, you just say, I need to put my head in this. It is important that you actually do that. Invest in acquiring knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candy. You see, I pray. Apostle Paul says, I desire and I pray. I desire and I pray. The vision that I have after pastoring a church and doing ministry for 10 years, the Lord spoke to me in July 2022 and said, prepare single young adults for honorable and sustainable marriage relationships. Enhance the quality of marriage for couples restore hope for the divorce, and enable them to find a better chance if there is any. Now, these words are not just, I don't think that if I were not educated, I would receive these words in this way. I want to think that my education also added to it. But bottom line is that the Lord spoke to me. And from that time to 6 months, it was actually in October 2022, I got up one night and I had an epiphany. I just received this message. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I said, what do you mean, God? He said, marriages are falling apart because of lack of knowledge. I said, so what do you want me to do? He said, bring knowledge to the people. I had a young girl at 23. I asked her, I said, how many books have you read? She is a virgin. She is born again. She is one of those good sisters. But just because she thinks that she is a virgin, she is not dating the boy, she is this, she is a good Christian, is enough for marriage. She said that, no, I'm not ready for marriage yet. How do you become ready without preparation? It's where I still don't get this knowledge. When I first got into the car, when I came to the United States, I didn't know how many uncle, brothers, or father having vehicles. So when I came to the United States, I needed to start learning driving from day one or from scratch. And I had good friends, Nigerians, Cameroonians, who helped me to drive in Massachusetts. Now, you practice until I wrote knowledge tests in Massachusetts 4 times. Not because I was dull, because I was neglecting the thing. I was, it's just those 20 questions. I was teaching in Cameroon. I would go and fail knowledge tests. And because of that negligence attitude, I wrote it 4 times. I went for road tests 4 times as well. The first day that I went with my friend, he was like, when I entered the vehicle, speed limit was 30, I drove on 35 already. So I'm saying this to say that it's very, very, very important to get the knowledge. I cannot have been in school for 12 years in the United States studying to be called Dr. Francis. And I have not even studied a bit on what my life depends on. People have died because they are in a dysfunctional marriage relationship and they are called doctor. Come on, like, are we trying to downplay this? I've seen professionals frustrated. Their license will be withdrawn for them. They will be in jail because they acted stupidly in a marriage relationship.
Right.
Yet they are pastor, they are doctor, they are this. When I met my wife, I told her I want to marry her. I was 25 years. And I had just been born again 2 weeks. And then I told her that. And I will say this, and I don't want to fake it. Candy, I don't know how you're going to take this, but I have stood on stages and said my wife is not the most beautiful woman in the world. I have said it. Because I've seen pastors, I've seen people in church who committed adultery, yet they came to church and testified that their wife is the most beautiful woman in the world. But if I did not marry the woman I am married to, she is in Bowie right now as I speak. I'm in Laura in my house. She is following this. I would have been divorced. Candy, sorry. If I had met Berry, you and marry you, you and I would not be in a marriage relationship today. Because, I have told, I was a youth pastor in Washington, D.C. I pastored a church. I was a youth pastor of a church where it was all these young adults. And all of them now, they are married with 3 children, 2 children, and all. They are doing well. I told them, if I marry one of you, these nice, good sisters, beautiful damsels, These are not bad people. These are very nice people. You see that, you see revelation. You see good woman. But if I had made a mistake to pick one of the American girls I met and forget about the one I met in Cameroon, in Moyoka, before I came to America, I would have been in a divorce court long ago because of the kind of things I have gone through, the kind of things I will get up and say, God say, and then a woman just need to follow me because God have said. So what do you do? How did you pick? What are the 3 things you picked, you did to get married to the woman you are today, and for 4 years you are cooking, and you are happy?
Thank you so much, Doctor. Like what Mrs. Severa said, and it's not to downplay prayer. She said something. She said prayer. Then she also said pray with context. So prayer was the major thing that I did, and not just praying blindly, of course, but also knowing what I wanted and reading as well. I mean I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books just to prepare. Like what the Bible says, it said Jotham became mighty because he prepared his way before the Lord. So I had to prepare in those in many areas, not just family life as a whole. I prepared in the area of marriage, parenting, and finances, things that are very very vital. Then while I was dating, we usually have a book that we read together every month. And personally, I read about 4 books a month, preparing. And as I was preparing through books and tapes, I was also, praying. I was also praying. So that prayer to me was just like a fence. Was like a fence, was just like a fire, so that no wrong woman will come inside. So part of my prayer then was that, Lord, don't allow me to bring a wrong woman home. And now the wrong woman doesn't mean that she's a bad person. No, it means that we are not compatible for the work which God has, assigned us to do. Yes, and also honoring my parents also played a huge role, in a sense that whenever I call my dad, then I was not in, if I was not even in a relationship. Whenever I call my dad, then one thing that he will say is that you will not marry someone else's wife. That was what he kept saying. I was just saying amen, 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 amen. So those were the things. Honoring my parents, of course, trusting God in prayers, expressing my desires in prayers, and also taking steps. Okay, I want this. What am I doing? Like in school now, you want to be a doctor. What you don't just sit at home saying that you want to be a doctor. You have to take steps. Like you rightly said about taking you were trying to get a license. You took that step, went to motor vehicle administration, submitted whatever document that you had to submit, and you took that test. You didn't sit at home and just hoping that you want to have a license and you have the MVA people to just come, pamper you and give you the license. No, you took steps. So those are the steps that I took, praying and preparing myself, and like to chip in what Kani said. Preparing in the area of finance is very very vital. It's very vital. If you are checking the things that causes people to divorce in our society today, it's not just infidelity alone. And I believe strongly that finances is part of at least the first 3 things that causes divorce. So if we shouldn't fool ourselves that we'll just finance will just take care of itself. No, we should know how to budget, know how to invest, know about money. Yes, so those are the 3 things that I did. Praying, honoring my parents, and also preparing through books and other people's experience, knowledge. And also, I ask a lot of questions. If I don't know anything, if I don't know something, I approach people to ask. It doesn't matter your age. I will ask questions just to know. You know. Yes. So those are the things that I did.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There are 21 questions here that I asked. I ask questions. Thank you so much. I believe that there is a young man in Maryland. in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, in Nigeria, in Cameroon, who is listening to this and who will listen to this, and they will get, they will take steps, they will be proactive. Do not wait until you are in a situation before you're trying to save it. We are about to wrap on the next under 5 minutes. One statement will come from each one of us before we wrap up. Like, hey, Candy will say make one statement. If it will make one statement, Vera will make one statement, I will make one statement, and then we'll be done. So what is that one statement that you want to leave them with, or our audience with? But before that one statement comes up, Sister Elvira, you have a 20, is it a 20? You have a 20-year-old girl, right?
Yes.
19 or 20?
20.
20, okay. And you got married at 25.
Yes.
So, and these days, these girls can get married. I'm not sure, but what will you say to your 20-year-old in 2 minutes? What will you say to your 20-year-old about marriage in general? Not necessarily preparing for marriage, but to your 20-year-old. And I want her, because I know she's listening, mommy is on the stage. And she has friends across. I know her personally, I have her phone number. What will you tell her?
At 20, it's an opportunity to discover yourself. At 20, it's an opportunity to have options. At 20, it's an opportunity to build wealth, to develop yourself. It's an opportunity to plan for the future. And it's even an opportunity to travel. So I would tell my daughter, at 20, prepare to be the solid woman that God is calling you to become, with or without a life partner, in as much as partnership and companionship will complete everything that God would put in your life and make it look good. That should be only the icing on the cake. It should not be your main goal. And I'm going to tell her, do not rush. Take your time and strive to be the better and the best version of you. Get to know why God created marriage, the purpose for it. And if someday you found someone that you thought you would complete their rib, make sure you know them well enough to be sure that that is the person whose rib you complete.
Thank you so much. I have to say this, please. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your determination, your effort. I thank you for keeping your children and your spouses away for these 2 hours. I cannot thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough. Again, we have been on the HASMA experience, and HASMA is an acronym for Honorable and Sustainable Marriage Relationships. And the HASMA experience is a broadcast where we bring professionals, couples to talk on how to create and enjoy. You know, it's one thing in creating, and the other one is enjoying. You shouldn't buy a house and then they only bury you there. You shouldn't have prepared yourself for marriage. You have 3 children, you have goods, you have everything is established, and then you are 40, 45, and then you're supposed to be like really okay, and then you die. No. Creating and enjoying the honorable and sustainable marriage experience. Honorable because it's supposed to be good, joyful, peaceful, sustainable, because it's supposed to be meant to last for a lifetime. Thank you again for being part of the program. The one statement before we go. Candy.
I was wishing somebody would go before me, but it's okay. I don't know how long this statement is supposed to be, but if I was going to give one statement, which is a summary about the importance of education before marriage or preparing for marriage, what I'm going to tell every single lady out there is singleness is not a disease to run away from. Maximize your single season by discovering yourself, building a relationship with God, and at the same time preparing for marriage. Singleness is just a season that's going to pass by, just like winter, summer, and every other season passes by. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candy. Ife,
I think
You
you're
are-
muted. If I can't hear you.
you are muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying I wish I had time to just explain what being a man is. But my advice that I would just like to, in a quick time, just be a man before you become a husband, be a man before becoming a father. Like my sister said, maximize every season. Life is seasonal. Life is seasonal, so maximize every season. Don't rush into marriage. And what Mrs. Um, Evira said, about advice that she would give her daughter, take time, build wealth, do all those stuff. So life is seasonal. So don't rush into any relationship and be a man. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ifani, for helping us in this broadcast. The knowledge, we truly appreciate that. Elvira,
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Cassie, Ambe.
To my sisters who have already gotten into the marriage experience, be it happily married, be it unhappily married, my one sentence to you would be courage, do not stumble, my dear sister. Look for people that you would surround yourself with that would support you through this marriage experience so that you can enjoy it the best possible you can. However, do not sit quiet if you're going through pain, if you're losing yourself, if it's beginning to attack your mental health and you feel like you're losing your sense of being. Say something, call somebody, cry out, do not be quiet. It's not a taboo to be in a dysfunctional marriage. Say something and get the help. And if you really cannot get the help and you cannot, and it's beginning to threaten your laughter and your joy and your peace, well, I'm not a marriage counselor. You know what else to do. Take care of you.
Thank you so much, Sister Elvira. And my own one segment will be marriage is a good thing. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. But that good thing is not the woman, it is marriage. When I found Esther, I entered with Esther into a marriage. We found marriage because marriage does not exist if the two have not come together. So, marriage is a good thing. If anyone's marriage is struggling, do not think that everyone is suffering in marriage. I have been married, legally married, since April 25th, 2012, and I have not struggled in my marriage. Thank you so much for being part of the HASMA experience. I think this was the first one, and we'll be having this every Saturday where we'll bring some professionals, we'll bring pastors, we'll bring marriage counselors, and we'll bring couples to share on how we can create and enjoy an honorable and sustainable marriage relationships. Until next week, Saturday, let us keep in touch. God bless you all. Again, thank you, Cindy, Elvira, and Ife.
Thank you.
Yes, it was nice meeting you all. Thank you.